Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for my first Pioneer video. This video is sponsored by Top Decked, and we'll take a look at them after round one. Pioneer is a format that I've been thinking about trying out for the channel, so this is kind of my demo video. If this video goes okay, I will open up the donation queue to Pioneer decks in the future. Probably only at tier 1 for now. I need the deck list ready to go because I can't brew in a format I don't understand. But let's see how this goes. So I sent a message to Todd Anderson, and I was like, hey, what do I play in Pioneer if I have no idea what I was doing? And he included an answer to that in the article that he wrote and published recently on his Patreon for free. So consider checking that out. He's not hard to find. He has like 20,000 followers. Okay, so we are going to be playing the deck that he recommended for someone who has no idea for what to do in Pioneer and who also hasn't played Standard in a few years. That's this guy. We are going to be playing Gruul Cleave. So for those of you who are just Legacy players, you probably don't know this card, even though it has absolutely torn up other formats. So this is a flash equipment that costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature you control, and when it ETBs, you get to equip it for free. The equipped creature has +1/+1, double strike, and trample. So when you have a decent-sized threat, this is huge. So if you get to cast this for 2 mana, this is a just absolutely savage combat trick. Otherwise, we're playing a bunch of mana dorks and a bunch of kind of above curve power level threats. So Werewolf Pack Leader is something that has seeped into a couple of videos that I've played, and you'll probably recognize some of these cards like Bone Crusher Giant and Chandra Torch of Defiance from Legacy, but others of these like Reckless Stormseeker, maybe not so much. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and haste, and it has the Daybound Nightbound mechanic. And you can turn that into +2/+0, trample, and haste on the backside. Similarly, we have a very powerful curve topper in Glorybringer, which can be exerted, meaning it doesn't untap next turn, so that you can deal 4 damage to a non-demon creature. And then we also have vintage staple Esika's Chariot. When it ETBs, you get 2 green 2/2 cat tokens, and whenever this attacks, you can create a token that's a copy of target token you control. So it just spirals out of control into more cats. As far as the sideboard goes, I'm going to highlight cards here because Legacy players, you're just not going to recognize a bunch of these cards because in a pool like Legacy, in a card pool like Legacy where you just have access to so many different things, you are not going to play a lot of these more specialized cards. I'm a little skeptical of this card, Domri, Anarch of Bolas. Creatures you control get +1/+0, and it can be plussed for a mana with sort of a Cavernous Souls effect where the creatures can't be countered. The fight mode seems pretty reasonable, though, and if this is a lower power level format, this is probably better than it looks. I'm really excited to try out this format. It's kind of been one of those things where I'd been planning on using one of my top deck leagues to try out the format, and I just didn't know what to play. And I've been told this deck is pretty straightforward by someone who really knows what they're talking about in Pioneer. So let's go ahead and jump into this. Comments on today's video are very much appreciated. Not only will they show support for this format, but they will teach me things about the format. So, I'm not going to know deck names. I'm not going to know anything. So, please help educate me. I would love to, read thoughts about this format. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the league. Okay, my opening hand doesn't have a mana dork, but, has a good mixture of lands and spells. I have 8 mana dorks. I can probably mulligan to a hand that's better than this, but not knowing what I'm doing in the format, I think I'm just gonna keep a reasonable looking opening hand, and we'll kind of see where it goes. All right, Ranger class, very nice. That'll be pretty decent support for the things that are coming later. I guess I kind of have a mana dork. It's not is this the Mardu one? Yes. Okay. So I guess it's just critter time. I do not know what the removal looks like in this format. Basically, what I know about Pioneer is I believe it is Return to Ravnica block onward um, in terms of support. An activated ability of some kind, right? 4 mana. Sure. So let's go ahead and play this since it will buff my other creature. And then go ahead and attack, do my creature. Oh, this can target itself. Oops. My bad. A lot of times these things are other. Alright, so obvious mistake. Have missed 2 points of damage already. This only 4 creatures? No, it is not. 3 damage to each creature. Okay. Cool. This probably doesn't matter which side I end up playing this on. So let's stick a Planeswalker. Go ahead and plus this. Grab a green mana. I think I just want to stick this while my opponent doesn't have a lot of mana available. Like, the mana the Elvish Mystic is providing isn't the biggest deal right now. But I just have 0 knowledge of what I need to be playing around. Okay, so that can exile my Ranger class. Okay, there is a loot ability going on. Brings that up to 6 loyalty. That's pretty respectable. Tireless Tracker. Like that. Deafening Clarion is a thing that I know I need to play around now. I'm fine leveling this up once immediately. I could level it up again, but I don't think I want to do that. I don't know to what extent that Nahiri is going to go after this enchantment. Just without knowledge of what all is in my opponent's deck. I'll just kind of play this as I go along here. I don't super mind playing this out. I'm not going to dump the Elvish Mystic into play as well. Because, like, if I just play this out, I also do just, like, get a clue. So I can cash that in for another permanent if necessary. I haven't seen Gruul green mana yet, but I've seen the rest. Ooh, Valky. Sure. An instant. This is a sorcery. Sure. Pulling Ritual. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Respectable. My opponent gets a bunch of mana for that. Okay. So my opponent is presumably true 5-color control. Alright, and I am losing my Tireless Tracker. That's not great for me. I thought leaving an onboard clue would be fine. Very much not the case. So I'll just plus this for my mana so that this elf can't be countered. But I'm definitely in need to top deck a threat mode. Because I presume that Nahiri Ultimate wins the game somehow. Trying to think of what, like, the biggest, baddest threat post RTR is. I think we've seen, like, a return to Eldrazi since then. I don't know. Like, I am not the person to ask about release of set order. Okay. So that's what's going on. And my opponent gets a whole bunch of cards to hand. Okay. Vanishing Verse, Supreme Verdict, Bring to Light. Sure. Okay. So my opponent has this stuff. And that's just a 6/6 flyer, too. I can't really get rid of that Niv Mizzet well with what I have going, just like with it as a 6/6. Maybe I'm not even supposed to play this. Yeah, maybe I'm not supposed to play that. Just like need it as a surprise later. Weird lines that I could do. Oh gosh, this is so many board wipes of different natures as well. Okay, yeah. So my opponent is just ignoring my Planeswalker here, going for my stuff. My opponent just has like so many big multi-costed things. Like, it feels like they're really trying to take advantage of Bring to Light. My mana dorks are just like super vulnerable to all these sweepers that my opponent has. Ah, okay. That makes sense. That just, like, is on brand with everything else. It's a little weird with the sweepers because, like, you want this to sit on the battlefield and accrue value, but feels like it's working here. Okay. So I'll plus this for mana. Grab some red. Play a sweet Planeswalker. Flame Slash the Omnath out of the way. Don't get to say no to this. Exile target monocolored permanent. Absolutely. That seems preemptive to me because this is about to happen. So now I can do this. Give it self-haste. I know that now. Let's get that Planeswalker down. I think that matters enough. Like, my opponent getting another Ob Nixilis level card is just bad for me. Like, it's possible I'm supposed to go Dome because, like, I know that my opponent just has a Supreme Verdict that they can board wipe with. So, like, there's that. Alright, another Bring to Light. Could be literally anything. Okay, this has seen minimal legacy play. I know roughly that it fetches some lands out. Okay. Search for a forest and a plains. Put them into your hand. Can't pay life or activate non-land or sacrifice non-land permanents to activate spells or abilities. Okay, cool. That's fine. So my mana confluence isn't a real land anymore. Understood. I think this one is far enough gone at this point that I can go ahead and concede. Like, I can fight this thing and kill it, like, poke this Nahiri down. But I don't really think I'm going anywhere at this point. Like, my opponent's still at 17 with better permanents than I have. All right. Generally speaking, I like this as a finisher here. Like, this is something that dodges a lot of those board wipes, if not all of them. I can make my stuff hexproof and indestructible. That's neat. Could work on, like, this shock effect to finish Planeswalkers, or, like, Fry. Fry is uncounterable to boot, although I'm not really seeing counter spells. To what extent, like, how many Nahiris does my opponent have? Like, do I worry that much about those? Like, the Fry can also just kill, like, Omnaths and stuff, though. Yeah, I'll probably play Fry. And then I probably just want more bodies rather than equipment. I think I'll go down on that. And Nahiri can exile Ranger class, but otherwise I kind of like it. The Planeswalker felt medium to me. The increased damage is nice. But, like, my opponent had the opportunity to kill it and then just didn't. I should probably take that as a cue on my end. And is crewing this going to be hard after I lose the cats? Probably. I also could just go down on mana dorks, but, like, accelerating out my stuff probably matters. I don't really want multiple Fries in a hand. I think I'd rather mulligan this one and just keep something that's a little more threat dense. I'll keep this. I'm pretty far away from casting this Planeswalker, so despite the fact that I would rather like Planeswalkers in general in this matchup, I don't think I want to do that. Okay, sure. Don't mind that. You don't have flash or anything, do you? No. Thinking of some other card of this nature. Would like to draw another land to just, like, get in there with this with haste. Doesn't look like that's happening. I think I am just going to Ranger class this turn and crash in for 3. Like, I very much like the idea of leveling this up once and just kind of making it so that my opponent doesn't as easily just X for 1 me with a Deafening Clarion. Yeah. So, like, I still get some value sticking around after this. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, let's just keep the threats rolling. I'd like more mana, but I don't think I get to just play out the elves here off curve. When I draw another mana source, I can level Ranger class and play this. Okay. Yes, I'm just leveling. Because I would, like, very happily trade for the Omnath right now, which I don't think my opponent wants to do. Now I wish I had a Fry. Okay, there's a lot of colors coming. There's all the colors coming. Niv Mizzet. Okay. So my opponent got a draw 3 off of their creature. I think I'm just dead for missing land drops. Like, I can attack with a 5/5 and try to trade for Niv Mizzet in combat with Stomp as well, but that just leaves me behind to the Omnath with, like, all of this stuff coming. Yeah, I don't think this is happening. And if my opponent says no and just cracks me for 10, that's no good for me either. Okay, so they do block. I will go ahead and Stomp to finish off. And that means that I'm not just, like, immediately dead, but damage seems like it's done. What does this card actually do? destroy a non-land permanent as the starting point, then ramp. Okay, so this is here as a Vindicate sort of effect. Oh god, did they just get another one of those? They do just get another one of those. Okay, this is neat. Alright, so my opponent gets an Abrupt Decay. Okay, that's not too bad, but now I'm in just a worse position than last turn. My opponent has just drawn more cards. Okay. At this point, like, taking about 10 damage in the next turn cycle, I can go ahead and concede here. This is neat, though. This video is sponsored by Top Deck, an all-in-one Magic the Gathering website/app. It does everything from hosting your deck lists to showing you the metagame to showing you card prices. If you're looking for something to kind of have all your Magic stuff in one place, please consider checking them out, as they have been very good to me in supporting my channel. All right, that's it. That's the plug. Let's get back to the Magic. Okay, round 2. This opening hand just feels too slow to me for an aggro deck. I'm just 100% dead if I miss a land drop. Or if my elf dies. How many lands am I playing? 23 remaining. Mana dorks are also pretty reasonable draws. I'm going to keep this in an attempt to keep enough just raw cards to like let me have a decent chance to win. Because if I hit that next land drop and I just get to like play out a bunch of hasty creatures in a row, like that probably goes okay for me. Fantastic. Right. I don't know how likely this is to just get counterspelled or whatever. It did not. All right, so learn from round 1. Give the creature itself haste. Crash in. And I can just repeat this, right? Rattle chains. Okay. I'm vibing with the turn 1 Vile Name. This a curiosity effect? Yeah. What is this? There's a 4/3 creature with vigilance. Sure. That's fine. So this is a 3/2. I can try to kill that with a stomp. Or I can just play another Reckless Stormseeker and continue to stay aggressive, which I think I am going to do. I don't know what counterspells, if any, I'm facing down here. Like, I imagine this is going to be like a Spirit Tribal tempo deck. Okay. So one of these will go here. The other one can go here. And I'll send them. Like, I'm attacking for 6. Like, very much am the beat down here. Alright. Only block creatures with flying. Sure. There's a control aspect to that. Does this one sacrifice if you don't attack? Yeah, it does. It seems like a bunch of these things have flash. Is this like an all creature type thing? Okay, so this is technically a spirit as well for the purposes of these things. Oh, these things transform. Hell yeah. I mean, one of these can go here. One of these can go here. Ever another one of these. Okay, so my opponent wants to play that and then tap this down. So let's use this opportunity to stomp this thing. You have to take a little damage in order to do that. Gaslight Snare. 1 less if you control a spirit, 1 less if you control an enchantment. Oh. That was a 1 mana leak. Okay. Now my opponent can tap these to tap down one of my creatures. You know what, Elf? Get in there. How big is this actual creature? 5/4. Okay. So either one of these things connecting would be lethal. Hope I don't die. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I just died, right? Because my opponent animates this and then just sends everything. Okay, that was unexpected. I didn't expect like yet another flash creature. Okay, now I've got to kind of feel for what's going on. So this targets creature or planeswalker. Okay, so I have a bunch of small removal spells that I can play. Seems like my opponent has too many creatures to where this would be good. Seems like Ranger, Glass, and Esika's Chariots are pretty large mana investments. I also don't think it's crazy to play Scavenging Ooze and just eat all of the bodies that potentially will die in combat or from removal spells. Hard for me to multi-attack with Embercleave safely. Maybe I get one of those in like this. This is fine, but the men is actually slightly awkward, right? Because I don't control a forest or mountain for this. I have to take some early damage in order to play my stuff. But it probably ends up being okay. Alright, Confluence, Elf, and we'll see where my opponent goes. Sure, that's fine. So do I just want to kill this stuff immediately? What is the sacrifice clause in this? Or access its power? Probably not, because then I don't get the backside of Bone Crusher Giant. The upside of doing it would be that I can clear like this land being tapped this turn to just get this thing out of the way. And then have 4 actual mana next turn to play Flame Blessed Bolt and this. Okay, I'm down with that. Alright, let's fire that off. That's fine. I'm trying to get my tapped land out of the way, not maximize my value. Oh wait, this is a 2 or more other land thing, isn't it? Alright. Do not know all of these cards like the back of my hand like I do in Legacy. So that's a Rattle Chains. That's fine. This gives Hexproof, and then gives all the other spirits Flash. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total mana. I only need 4 under most circumstances, assuming that I want to play this card. Yeah. So let's not pay the life. Play the Stormseeker. Give it haste. And attempt 6 damage. Okay, it's going through okay. And we'll see what my opponent has for end of turn. You guys can only block creatures with flying. Sure. I am going to attempt to just junk that creature now, because that tap effect is pretty strong. I think it's easier to go for that window right now when my opponent has fewer lands available. Okay, that's fine. It's obviously good, but it's happening. I think I'm just about always drawing a card this turn. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this now. Let's go for damage now. I'm actually like surprisingly close to dead. Looking at it a little bit more. Okay. So I'm at 10. And this is a 4/3 innately. So this is actually a 5 because of the Lord, right? This is 5, 8, 9 damage. If my opponent is able to somehow sneak some more power in, I might die. Yeah, 5, 8, 9 damage. Where's that last bit of damage coming from? Okay, it's not. I'm taking 8 going to 2. How much is this to activate? This is 4 to activate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I mean, this is a go for it situation, right? Like, 'cause I am dead in the air next turn, basically no matter what. Let's give that here. Spread out this damage as much as possible. All right. Send them. I get another critter off this trigger. And then my opponent can sort it out and one of us is dead. Hopefully not me. Okay, not me is the answer. This game's going fast. I like my removal spells. Let's get Scavenging Ooze in there. I feel like a little bit of life gain is very reasonable. So I have Bolt, Fry, Crusher, Chandra, Glorybringer as removal. Seems reasonable. A game where I'm on the draw feels scary. I'm a little light on mana, but I have a removal spell and a piece of ramp. I think I probably keep. But I just have so little basis for what actually makes a hand keepable. Right, play the green side of this. Elvish Mystic going. My next turn is like ever so slightly awkward in some ways. But it's not that bad. I'm always playing Mountain. Part of me just wants to take the 3 damage this turn, but I think I'm just going to play this Werewolf Packmaster and attempt to start drawing cards with it. I would like to hit more land drops to work towards these. Because a pair of those just seems disgusting. So I think I'm going to make the less mana efficient play this turn. Sure. That's fine. That land. That land is, like, surprisingly scary here. I'll take my 2 and go to 18. We'll see what my opponent can do. 6 or more, right? Yeah. I don't think I'm willing to attack with the Elvish Mystic into board here. Just so many things it can be. What is this? Okay, so this is counter unless you pay 4, since my opponent has a creature with flying and I can't fry in response because I don't have enough mana. That's fine. Glorybringer coming down, though, will be sick, assuming that actually happens. This is just a 1/1 spirit, right? Yeah. Flavor text of draw a card. That actually could, like, become relevant in Pioneer, I suppose. Oh, that's a Supreme Phantom. Absolutely. Taking 5. Alright. Here's to hoping I don't get counterspelled. This is real sick if it resolves. Glorybringer! Nice. So I will attack with both. Did I have to do something special to exert that? Did I have to, like, specifically right-click that and say exert? If that is the case, I am very sad. That is the case. That is very sad. Okay. Well, I think I just lost a game due to that. Well, okay, I guess I just played around that. But am I just dead to my opponent activating this now? Again? Jesus. 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wow, okay. Well, I learned a very important Magic Online interaction here about how Glorybringer works. So, there's that. Okay. This hand's a little mana heavy, but has a mana sink that I can funnel things into. Let's keep this and kind of hope to draw into a little bit of gas. Like, if I have to just filter mana into this land for the sake of having something to do with my mana, like, so be it. Holy fucking elves, Batman. I don't know, like, what deck I'm playing against and whether or not I need to be playing around some bullshit sweeper or other. I think I'm gonna play out the creatures because the upside of doing so is pretty decent. Assuming I draw a non-land card. And if it doesn't work out for me, it doesn't work out for me. But I don't have the context to know what basic swamp means. Gifted Aetherborn. Okay. That is awkwardly a 2/3. And I can just crack in, but I'm probably better off playing this Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah. Alright. And I should have played Stomping Ground this turn. Just for the record. If Mono Black Devotion is a thing, that's pretty cool. Oh. So this is this card that everyone talks about, huh? This is what this feels like? Yeah, that don't feel great. That don't feel great. No. I like what's going on over there. Those of you who have played against that card 5,000 times are probably like, oh, fuck that card, man. That card took my wife and kids. Okay. Like my opponent's just eating it. So now I will just cast a new one of these, and I'll get this Stomping Ground out of my hand now. I didn't really get punished for missing that land drop. This is legendary, so you can't just stack these up and get a billion triggers. Nykthos is already, like, on and netting mana. So this is cool. What is that? Wishclaw Talisman. Okay. That is a 2/7. Exile up to 2 target cards from a graveyard. In 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. Absolutely. 2/7 is sort of awkward in terms of, like, raw size here. Alright, let's battle. And I'll play the Chariot post-combat. I potentially lose one of these to the Death Toucher. But my opponent might not even have to, depending on what their board's like. Like, this Nykthos is going to give them, like, a billion mana. Okay, yeah, they're just purely going to block. I guess I just play this out and just get my cats from it. If my opponent board wipes, I still just have this And let's see what my opponent can do. I just can't really interact with their board meaningfully. Like, my stomps don't kill this. Underworld Dreams? Really? Dude, my opponent's deck is cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. It hurts. It hurts so much. So now I draw a card to take one, go to 7. Huh. So I think I'm just gonna be dead. My opponent, like, activates Nykthos for 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 mana, and then finds another Grey Merchant and kills me. Fucking dope. Yeah, I like it. Activate this lair, but it do a ton. Yeah, I'm gonna concede there. Yeah, like they've got an onboard win. Do I have anything that deals with artifacts or enchantments? No. Okay. So plan needs to be kill my opponent. Like, my hand was a little mana heavy to start with. The Meat Hook Massacre did not help. I can Alpine Moon, so Nykthos isn't a thing. I don't know if that's worth a card. Like, they don't have it all the time. That card's very good for them, but, like, is that worth me taking a creature out of my deck, for example? I wouldn't mind a couple of sticky cards that will just be okay versus removal. I don't know. Maybe I should be cutting some number of these, but IDK. I guess I keep this. I am just, like, still trying to form a feeling for what is acceptable in terms of opening hands in this format. Like, format feels relatively fast to me. Alright. The Thoughtseize is pretty bad for me. Like, I lose out on my only early play. Oh, I just lost out on the Embercleave. Absolutely. So I guess I am just playing my giant here, and I am fully 100% reliant on the top of my deck here to get me somewhere reasonable. Thank you, deck. I will just attempt to trade. I don't know that my opponent will. Like, last time they really wanted those devotion pips, and I imagine the same is true this game. But now I've just bottomed out. So if I don't top deck well, I'm just dead. Warlock class. Beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, I lose 1. Level 2, look at the top 3, put 1 in your hand. Beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn. Okay, this deck's really cool. I want to play that deck. Okay. So now they look at 3. And how much is this to level up again? Okay, it is 7 to level up again. Okay, yeah, and they're just going to attack because they don't intend on blocking. Seems good. I guess I am always playing this, always doing tapped stomping ground. Yeah. And then bash in for 5. And we'll kind of see what happens. Like, this can be pretty reasonable. Kalitas. Alright, it's been a while. A non-token creature an opponent controls would die. Instead, exile it and make a zombie. Okay. And this is 4 to activate. Sure. So we'll go ahead and attack with both of these, and I do get to draw a card for that. All this stuff having lifelink is totally brutal for me, just by the way. Okay, so opponent is going to force me to pump the mana into this, which I will go ahead and do. So my opponent gets two zombies out of that, and I don't get to play this turn, but I've taken my opponent's lifelinkers out of play and drastically decreased their devotion. Oh, right. The castle's really good. Wishclaw Talisman also, like, seems quite useful. I'm going to go to 14. I guess I want the green side of this in case I draw a Scavenging Ooze. Did I board those in? No, I did not board those in. All right. So there's Clothis as a sticky threat. My devotion isn't quite high enough for that to be good. And then I'll play this hasty thing. It can just take haste, and I'll... Am I the beatdown still? Yeah. Maybe I'm not the beatdown anymore. Maybe I have to hold that back for zombies. Because it's still a 2-3 defensively. Castle seems pretty respectable here. Okay, what was that? Blood Chief's Thirst. Sure. I am taking a lot of damage, and my opponent is regaining the life here. All right. So we don't need mana. I will just start eating things from my opponent's graveyard, unfortunately. Um, this Wishclaw Talisman kills me pretty much now, right? Yeah. The Gray Merchant does that, and then I die to these creatures. GG's. Opponent's deck is super cool. I want to play that deck. Okay. Round 4, I'm playing against a Yorion deck of some kind. And feels just like so very slow. I think I'm just gonna mulligan this one. This is more reasonable, and I just have to decide what I'm throwing back. Like, I can try to skip 2 on the curve entirely, or I can just throw back the Planeswalker and try to play out as many creatures as possible, or I can risk not having the 4th land and throw one of those back. I'm gonna keep my mana sources and try to skip on curve. It's just, like, very not good for me if Llanowar Elves gets removed. I don't know what Yorion means in this format, so I don't know, like, what that should be telling me in terms of, like, am I playing versus a control deck, a mid-range deck, and stuff of that nature. Like, I am just lacking that information. But I know that I can just brawl with this thing and hope that things work out. The Yorion decks often have a little bit less of a consistent game plan in the early game. Okay, so we're probably on, like, Omnath nonsense. What colors are these? Abzan. There's blue. Okay. So I guess it's probably just Planeswalker time. Ranger class and leveling it immediately is also fine. Chandra is 2 damage this turn and potentially more than 2 next turn, depending on what my draw looks like. Let's get the Planeswalker in and start to activate it. I think Ranger class is also good. But I can funnel mana into Ranger class next turn if I need to. I don't know what removal I need to be playing around. Like, if my opponent also has red in that deck and I need to be playing around red removal that hits for a certain amount, playing Ranger class could be better. I have no idea what this does. It's 3 damage to any target and you gain 3 life. Okay, yeah, that's exactly the sort of thing that I was just talking about. Whenever an opponent attacks a planeswalker you control with one or more creatures, it deals 2 damage to that player and you gain 2 life. Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. This will be 5. This could be 6, 7. I'm gonna need more green pips here. Yes, I could also just do this for damage and then play out these cards. That's probably fine too. Ooh. I will take another planeswalker. Yeah, that's, like, totally fine. Does this give haste? No. Alright, so let's pick up a mana. Grab a green. Play a pack leader. And crash in for 2 with an elf. I feel pretty good with multiple planeswalkers and multiple creatures in play. But I have no idea what could be coming. Okay, there's a Dreadbore for my first planeswalker. And what's the follow-up? Knight of Autumn. Well, I'm glad I didn't play out Ranger class. Okay, my opponent is taking life here. That's fine for me. So, fine. So let's go Ranger class. Go 2 mana and level that up. Go target creature you control. Fights target creature you don't. Attack with both of these creatures. Let's grow this creature larger. Okay, and I found another Domri for later. This is a good amount of pressure here. But my opponent has big haymakers, I'm sure. Hydroid Crassus. That's actually not that big of a deal, right? 4/4 is cool and all. What's the big ability here? Sure. I think I'm just going to start by shoving all of these sideways. And I think I'm just going to make this creature not killable by Hydroid Crassus. That makes my Domries a little better. Yeah, that's fine. My opponent takes 8, going to 4. I'll play a new land. We'll just use up... There's 3 damage marked on this, right? Yeah, there's 3 damage marked on that. So, target creature you control fights target creature you don't. Then, new creature, plus for mana. I think I'm going to spend this inefficiently and not just level this up. Just to have 2 different creatures that I can attack with next turn. Could be literally anything over there with all these colors. Bring to light. So is this essentially just a Yorion version of the thing that I saw previously? Okay, they are going for an Omnath. That's fine. That's less fine. So then they gain a bunch of life. And that actually nukes my Planeswalker. That part I don't like. Or sorry, that was 2. Yeah. So they failed to find a basic plains. They just got a forest out of that. Chariot. Okay. So let's go ahead and make that. Confirming what can't I do? A life or sacrifice non-land permanents. Fantastic. Let's crew this thing. Where it has summoning sickness. Minus this. Target creature I control. Junk Omnath here for target creature I don't. And now I think I just attack in with this one. Just give them the chump. I get a card out of this. This is not technically threatening lethal, but probably enough damage that my opponent has to block. Alright, so this is 4 for the last stage. This is 4 for the last stage. So I will pay this. And what do I get to play? I cast creature spells from the top of your library. Absolutely. Guess let's make you smaller. I don't really know where to put you, because I also kind of need to leave this Yorion popped out, or I'm going to forget about it. Deafening Clarion again. Sure. You still need to find... That's Yorion to hand. I have 8 damage on board, because this gets a counter from Ranger class. Yeah, okay. Cool. So this is a Yorion version of that control deck from earlier. Maybe fewer Planeswalkers. I think I like Klothys. From there, I'm not really sure. A bunch of my stuff dies. Scavenging Ooze is a cool mana sink. Like, I could take these out to play around Deafening Clarion, but like the jump from 1 to 3 in my deck seems really important, so I'm not sure that I can really do that. I can bring in some things like Fry to take out my opponents, like Omnaths and whatever the pig's name is. I think I would be okay with doing that. I'm gonna go down the Embercleave. I haven't been like overly impressed with these chariots yet. Maybe I'll go down some number of those for a few fries. Like, maybe I'm just wrong about this card, but I have not copied a cat token yet. And, like, the 2/2s just don't seem great versus, like, Omnath-sized threats. The 4/4 Chariot itself is okay. Yeah, this is okay. I'm just, like, not 100% sure about what my game plan is supposed to be. The deck isn't quite as aggressive as I was expecting it to be relative to the format. So this doesn't actually enter untapped yet. I think I just do this 2 turns in a row and just get that plan going. Sure. Alright. So I lose Bone Crusher Giant to that. And this is Spell, so that technically enters the battlefield and then does a trigger, which is why my opponent didn't lose life there. So that's good for them. I'd be a little vulnerable to some sort of like Supreme Verdict-esque card here. This sort of situation is where I would like an Embercleave. Okay. Most of my opponent's good cards will probably start coming online next turn. This incidental life gain is very good. Like, this is a Lightning Helix that sometimes you get to bounce with Yorion. Alright, I have gotten to untap. I don't know what to be playing around in terms of counter magic, so I'm just going to not. I'll absolutely just send them. Oh, my opponent's just cycling a land. Yes. Death. Voting for death, hoping not to eat a Supreme Verdict here after playing out all my cards. That is not a Supreme Verdict. It is a 6/6 creature. Yeah. So they get Red Boar. They get a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's a lot of cards. Like, my opponent is waiting to discard here. Ugh. Okay. This is a reasonable draw on my end. This at least lets me get rid of my opponent's creature. I will do the life here. I'm just gonna make sure there's no like non-flying claws on this or anything. Non-dragon. Son of a bitch. Non-dragon. Non-dragon. Dragon. Absolutely fuck me. Absolutely fuck me. Alright. So we're attacking. And my opponent can block like an Elvish Mystic if they want. Okay, they are just gonna soak up most of the damage here. So they'll go to 8. I'll minus and finish that thing off, and I'm not playing another creature because, like, I know my opponent has this. And, like, they have multiple very good cards here. Yeah, I figured the Deafening Clarion was coming to wipe the board. Then they can Binding and kill this Planeswalker next turn. Non-dragon? What's more glorious than killing another dragon with your dragon? Alright, D-Spark happened. Alright. Life's bad. I think this is the point where my opponent falls ahead to the point that I can't really win, because they just like cast a Bring to Light and get another one of those Niv Mizzets or something, or an Omnoth. And I don't think I'm just going to finish my opponent from 8. Don't really think that's super likely. How much does this activate? That's 4 to activate. Alright, goodbye, friend. I just feel buried in cards here. Alright, here's a Bring to Light, which feels pretty bad for me. This might just get like an Omnoth because like that can be life gain for my opponent. Oh, does that... Man, I thought we fixed this shit. I thought we absolutely fixed this shit, so it didn't work with most of those interactions. But okay. Alright, it's been a little while. Exile target artifact or creature. So my opponent can just cast a lot of stuff that they exile off the top of my deck. So when this is sitting in play, it's not going to be a creature. It's just going to be a legendary enchantment, right? So like I have that going for me in the short term. What was that? That was a Fatal Push. That was just very fast. So here we go. Fatal Push and Elvish Mystic. So this is not good for me. Opponent has so much mana and a source of card advantage that I can't really check. They're not technically killing me yet. That's the good news. What is this? What are you doing in my draw step? Get out of my draw step. Alright. I discard my cards. I will begin to just drain my opponent. So, like, my opponent only has a couple of turns to gain some life or otherwise find a way to kill me from 18. The Yorion means that they can just blink this. And, oh god, they found a Bring to Light. Bring to Light plus my Haste Idiot means they probably just get to attack me with a Niv Mizzet this turn. I haven't mathed out. Oh, they just have Hydroid Crassus. Okay. I feel dead now. I think we just stop there. GG. Back end thing. I actually stopped recording. I thought I had lost 2 already, but that was not the case. Okay. Non-dragon. Okay. I'm over it. I'm over it. Do I want these chariots on the play? Probably kills Omnoth. Frine doesn't kill Niv Mizzet as a 6/6. Maybe on the play I just like increase the number of threats that I have and just try to get my opponent dead. I could buy that. Okay. I do not have red mana here, but I think this hand is appealing enough to just keep it. So, like, we're just going to go land go and play Werewolf Pack Leader into Tireless Tracker and hope that Deafening Clarion doesn't eat everything that I love. Like, opponent's mana is, like, probably above average in terms of Magic decks as a whole, but, like, there's definitely some strain there. Like, there's worlds where they can't even play a Deafening Clarion on turn 3 because of, like, the lands that they open up on. Okay, Chariot helps with their mana quite a bit here. And that thing is hexproof. Can attack for 4 this turn if I play Domri. I still have to worry about, like, Deafening Clarion off of just new land plus this mana. But oh shit, that was a stump. Well, fine. I thought that was the check land. I'm going to play out a Bone Crusher Giant and just threaten more damage next turn in the worlds where they don't have a board wipe. Like, opponent is on an 80 card deck, so they cannot always have it. Yes, much better with this outcome. All right. Is this a Tireless Tracker turn, or is this like a Domri turn? I think this is a Tireless Tracker turn. I'll go 3 mana for Tracker. Make my land drop for a clue. Elf. Oh, sure. I guess I might have been able to save that life if I attack first. Or rather, get that damage in if I attack first. Okay, that's fine. I'm not successfully lowering my opponent's life total in a meaningful way. I have 4, 5, 6 total mana. Kind of 7 if I do this. I guess kind of 7 mana is good. Alright, Chariot. You haven't really done anything for me yet. Now's your time. These things being hexproof so that I can't, like, fight them or otherwise remove them is a little tough. Sure. Feel like this is Pioneer's version of Money Pile. 10 cards entered the reveal zone. Alright. That's, Alright, did they take the Abrupt Decay or Culling Ritual? They took Culling Ritual. So I don't actually have anything that can quite kill this Niv Mizzet. This is crew 4. What happens with this token? Attacks create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Alright, so let's crew this. Go done. 5. I probably should have played my clue, cracked my clue first. Let's attack with these. Create a copy of one of these tokens. Let's crack this clue now. That would not have changed anything. Alright, opponent's just taking a chump here. I'm good with. I don't really have a choice about. I'll hold this back. This is only 5. I can't actually kill that, so I'll just plus here. I guess I'm not gonna actually make my land drop because of Tireless Tracker. What is this? Each creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. I haven't seen that one before. This Culling Ritual is just disgusting. My opponent literally played that spell for free. The only thing that kind of sucks about it is that the Scarab God at the beginning of your upkeep. Your opponent loses X life, and you scry where X is the number of zombies you control. Okay. And it bounces back to hand. And it makes zombies from graveyard. Okay, that's a lot. I think I lose this Domri here. And then my opponent untaps with a Bring to Light and just Dunzo. Yeah, I think I just concede here. GG's. Ugh. Alright, I like this. So we get to go Elf into, like, Idiot, and try to run away with the game. Absolutely on board with this. This is a pretty aggressive hand that I'm very happy to keep. What colors is this? Never seen this one. Sure. I get slowed down significantly by that removal spell. But it means that I can just have that land enter tapped. Okay. That's the other side of this. What is this? The blood token card. Sacrifice it. Target creature gets -X until end of turn, where X is twice the number of blood tokens you control. Sure. For red. That's just a 3/2 as well. It's big. Absolutely big. Battle. Like, I'll leave you with your blood token if you're willing to trade. I'm not sure how central this thing is. I'm guessing not. I'm just gonna take the 1-for-1 here. Like, I have more hasty threats. Tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. Sure. What's that? Enters the battlefield or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard. Creature was exiled. Each opponent loses 1, you gain 1. Ward of discard a card. Absolutely. And that's just a decent sized card, too. Alright, let's play a Planeswalker. Plus it to a reasonable level. And just get out there in terms of mana acceleration. This gives me a Glorybringer next turn. And while I don't really love the idea of discarding a card to get rid of this, maybe something that I'm doing. Okay. Goodbye, Glorybringer. I presume. Could be wrong. I was not wrong. Domri's gonna take a beating here, and now there's a creature card in the graveyard. That's fine. So, are you doing anything post-combat? Another one of those? Sure. So non-negotiable, I'm always plussing for mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Feel like I want to extract value out of my cards at the current time. Go ahead and pay life here. Rack this immediately. Field here and here. I've made my land drop. I don't think I want to attack with this. I think I just want to leave this back and potentially get one more activation out of that Domri. I don't know that that's actually happening. This thing can just, like, trade with my tireless tracker. Wonder if my... Okay. The words that were about to come out of my mouth is, I wonder what my opponent's graveyard synergies are, since they're playing these things that just, like, let them create blood tokens. And I figured it out. It's Kroxa. So, like, that's totally reasonable. So, goodbye, Domri. My opponent's a little ahead here. I need to read what this card does. I don't actually know this one. All right. Make a goblin with whenever it attacks, make a treasure. Card up to 2. If you do draw that many, exile it into fake Kiki Cheeky. Okay. So I have a Kroxa to deal with that's just, like, imminently coming in. I think the best way to kind of deal with that is crash in for 3 here and then play Bone Crusher Giant in response to a Kroxa trigger. Just kind of like, ooh, to just kind of leave a card hanging out in exile. All right, yep. That does mean I can just stomp that Planeswalker to finish it, though. But at this point, I'm playing from, like, Hellbent while my opponent has a Kroxa hanging out in graveyard. So, like, I am just quite behind. Like, I'm trying to be this aggressive deck, and it's turn 7, and my opponent's at 19 life. It's been a little while. Each opponent who didn't discard a non-land card this way loses 3 life, so I should just play this out. Like, the reason not to is the ward of this creature. So that trigger has been doing serious work. I guess I make this trade. I don't really know how I'm winning is my issue. So, like, this Kroxa comes in. I'm not very good at dealing with things with 6 toughness. And, like, my board's empty. I think if I don't trade, I'm also just in bad shape, though. Like, this Kroxa drains me. My opponent attacks for 6. Like, I just don't know what I'm working towards here. I'm gonna go ahead and concede. Ugh. Alright, what am I doing with my life? I think I like Klothys. Life gain's relevant, attacking graveyards is relevant. And, like, on that note, I should probably play Ooze as well. Seems like my opponent's too good at pressuring Planeswalkers for me to want that card. So that's gonna get me the Klothys. And my creatures keep dying, so I think I want to keep my creature density high. I'll make that swap. And, like, I haven't been overly impressed by the Chariots yet, so I think I'm just gonna try something like this. This mana doesn't work. What is the text on this? You control 2 or more other lands. It enters the battlefield tapped. Okay. I'm gonna keep this and junk one of these lands. Alright. let's play an elf and hope to do cool things with a tireless tracker. Just a little light on on gas right now. That's absolutely punching a hole in my plan in a way that I don't like. I'm gonna miss a point of damage here to play this land this turn, I think. 100% reliant on the top of the deck to be good here. And I think if I miss next turn, I am in huge trouble. Not regular trouble, just absolutely huge trouble. So I guess play the red side of this. Play the Chariot, which was a very good top deck there. Like I can Den of the Bugbear activate on turns where I miss. But kind of hoping to run a little hot off the top here. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that qualifies. Absolutely. I'll crew that with my cats, yeah. I would have attacked for 8, made a new cat, killed Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, this is the sort of thing I wanted to be doing all league. It just kind of felt a little awkward in terms of curve. I have a lot of mana sources. Like, I have 24 lands plus 8 Llanowar Elves. I think I'm more or less good with this. Like, I could play more Chariots. Chariot was quite good that time. Maybe I play more of those. Could, like, go out a couple of these. Don't really know. Okay, I will keep this. I have a reasonable mix of lands and spells. Just tapped. Okay. Alright, Bone Crusher is a fine draw here. Totally happy with, like, the way this hand is probably going to curve out. I can play, like, a Pack Leader and a Llanowar Elves next turn if I feel like that's something that I need to do. My opponent gets to pick at the hand a little bit here. Scavenging Ooze feels like one of the better cards from my side of the battlefield, but they may evaluate things differently. Okay, so they're potentially making way for one of their own creatures. That's fine. And a Fatal Push on my Elvish Mystic is totally fine. I think I'm always playing the green side of this. And then it's like Pack Leader versus Scavenging Ooze. I think I'm going to save the Scavenging Ooze for a little later in the game if I can. Like, the more mana I have available when I play it, so it can eat and give me immediate value, the better. Rude. So this is enter the battlefield or attack. Sure. Let's see if my opponent wants to trade. I believe the answer is a resounding no. Yeah, it is a no. So then I'll play out an ooze with the intention of eating Elvish Mystic so that my opponent doesn't get any value off of this trigger. They might not even attack. Okay, they're gonna make me do it. So I will go ahead and eat that. Okay, there's a punish for not eating previously, I guess. That's kind of rough. I mean, not kind of rough. It's very rough, honestly. Like, that's rather brutal here. I wish I had triple green available right now, but I don't. So let's just burn cards sideways. It's maybe better to play Werewolf Pack Leader there so that I can try to trigger its ability and draw multiple cards next turn. I don't know. Like, I can just play this next turn as well. Tireless Tracker is vulnerable to toughness removal that the Werewolf Pack Leader isn't. But I would be better. Like, I would be happier trading the Tireless Tracker in combat with that thing than the Werewolf Pack Leader. Okay, that's fine. You can have your blood token. See what kind of value you can get. Okay, they're just looting away a land. Kind of in the opposite boat where I want more mana. Okay. So now that my opponent has this other creature, I don't know that I want to trade anymore. Like, this thing's annoying, but hopefully I just draw a card off of this and off of this. So I'm going to take that hit, and we'll see where this goes. That. Guard this thing, mill 3, then return a creature or planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. 1 less for each legendary creature you control. Absolutely. Alright, so I'm just going to swing in with both. Actually, do I play Werewolf Pack Leader pre-combat? No, it's when this thing attacks if you attacked with creatures with power 6. Okay. So maybe I should have played the other one last turn. I don't know, it's pretty close. Send him. Stomp would be cool. Not Stomp. But something that lets me play the Chariot is still nice. Yeah, opponent values the pack leader pretty highly. Makes sense. Yield to that. Dump the Chariot into play. Alright, that's pretty respectable. One. Makes a Beholder. Absolutely. Am I just losing Tireless Tracker? I'm just losing Tireless Tracker. It gave me a clue, and this Chariot is pretty damn good right now. Probably in an okay situation. It's quite annoying to me that I have double red here with 5 pips in hand like this. So let's start by drawing a card, because I think I do that no matter what. That's cruel. That's cruel. Alright. Through. Done. Attack them, attack the Planeswalker. Probably just attack the Planeswalker. Like, my opponent is low on resources. I don't want them to plus that thing and pull ahead further. Like, I have a very strong onboard presence. Short of some sort of board wipe, I probably just kill my opponent next turn. Okay, yeah, and there's the concession. So I end up 1-4 in this league. I don't feel like I can give good feedback on the deck list, because I spent so much of this league just trying to learn new cards and processing what my opponent might be playing. And a lot of my brain power went to, like, physically, what does this card do? What is my opponent's deck doing? Rather than, like, what is my perfect line for each turn? So I don't feel like I can fairly give this deck a good thumbs up or thumbs down. Just kind of, like, based on the fact that this was my first, like, Pioneer. Like, these were my first Pioneer games ever. Here's what I'll say. I don't know that I piloted this deck well enough to show off its strengths. Like, the Chariots looked really good in that last game, but, like, I often just kind of felt on them. And, like, maybe I boarded this card out too much. I'll say that I don't really like my matchup versus these 5-color control decks. Like, the cards like Deafening Clarion that just, like, sweep up my mana dorks, and most of these threats that otherwise, like, might be a real problem if they sat around for quite a while, felt difficult to me. And my ability to interact with things that are outside of red removal range, like easy at red removal range, like, kept coming up in the league. Like, I was just short of killing, like, the Niv Mizzet. I think one of the mono black things was right outside of the range of Bone Crusher Giant. So I feel kind of medium on the deck list, but it's very hard for me to evaluate because I spent so much brain power just kind of working through, like, first look at the format. I will say the format feels fun, and, like, finishing this league, my thought is, like, yeah, I want to play another Pioneer League. So I'll probably do another one on the house. Like, I'll probably just pull up that mono black deck that I played against and, like, play that because that looked like a lot of fun. And then kind of from there, I'll base whether or not I play more Pioneer on what people say in the comments and how the videos do. So basically, if you want to see more Pioneer and you want to see me get better at Pioneer so the videos are a little better, throw me a like, throw me a comment, let me know things that I did wrong, deck names, stuff like that. Like, I very much appreciate on these videos when I'm new to a format. And, if things go well, this can be one of the new poppers of the channel where I sprinkle it in from time to time. So I hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.